All right. Good evening, and welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, and this is your host, Hurricane H. Today's series follows into the previous, editions or episodes that we've had, and the title of the series, of course, is Sales World. Today, we're going to talk about the next step in the sales transaction or the sales cycle, the sales process. But before we do that, I know everybody is out there going crazy with all the coronavirus news, the coronavirus changes, and we're all getting adjusted a little bit to what it is. It is tough days. It is a storm that we have to to all weather and go through. But nevertheless, I know we all are resilient. We're gonna make it through, and I know for folks out there at all ages, it's a concern. Kids are at home. Everybody's pretty much for the most part staying home, teleworking, things like that. So again, we at the station, we're gonna try to do some programming and entertain you a little bit. There's a lot of entertainment out there. There's so many sources and resources, news, movies, you name it. But feel free to check us out every. Monday to Friday, we have an exercise session in the morning. Check that out. So if you're staying home and you want to do some good workout, please join us. You can check it out on the iHealth channel live. Just go in there and you'll see it. And then at 10 o'clock, you can jump in on the class. You can watch actually the previous sessions. Just a little bit of information, and that's about it as far as the previews on what's coming next. So Monday we'll do that. There'll probably be a show tomorrow and potentially Sunday. I have to set up my mind about what topic. We have, like I said, we have too many talk shows, and I'm talking to some other folks, see what would be a best and appropriate program that we're going to cover at the next session. So that being said, my favorite expression. We'll jump right into our sales world. So again, sales world, excellent. So some of you may get this from the old series of Wayne's World. So I just thought that may be a little levity here. And again, if you haven't checked out the previous shows, of course, please do. We had an interesting and very educational and informative show with our dear friend Steve-O from Reboot, which is an integrative wellness center in Philadelphia, and it's just a nice talk and education about cannabis and its utilization, uses, integration in modern, well, not modern, but in the the current healthcare mainstream system, and everything about it to at least understand what it is, how it is. There's a lot of questions about that, so I figured just I want to throw that in as well. So yes, please check it out. And if you're in Philadelphia, you feel free to check out the Reboot location. If you watch the program, you'll be able to know where they're located. They're in Elkins Park, and they do a lot of services, physical therapy. They do the cannabis and all the products for treatment, things like that, for pain management. They also do acupuncture, which is another aspect. So just a little thank you to Steve-O and the opportunity to be there. And we have other programs scheduled for the week and reports that we'll be bringing in to you guys. And so stay tuned on the next programs. All right. Again, Sales World, obviously it's one of the many series, but I want to just continue with the series as we do a little bit of an alternate, different topics. But the series for Sales World will continue focusing until we do the closing and what goes beyond the close. And then we'll keep back at sales and different aspects of sales and different tweaks and techniques and things like that, which is important to pretty much all the professionals in the sales world in general. Doesn't matter what sales you do, or what kind of sales activities you engage in, what sales programs and industries you're pushing. These tips will probably help you. I will kind of focus in my expertise a little bit on the insurance and producers and agents for insurance sales, but at the same time we'll give some analogies of different types of industries that I've actually had the pleasure to participate in and work with. But a lot of these things, as I had said initially when we started the first introduction to the sales world, entitled that session or that particular episode was called World of Sales, and in that particular form, we discussed a little bit the overall sales, concepts and what sales and so on and so forth. And I did give some references to different industries and different experiences, but literally doesn't matter what you do if you're in sales, and even if you're not in sales, some of these things are just things that you can use even in personal life. And in addition to that, I would say that you can apply some of these things even as a consumer. So it's not just for the professionals that are in sales, but even consumers. Either you can apply them, or you can actually see what's beneficial here from this particular forum or platform, and then maybe apply that, or at least understand and get some expectations as to when you interact with a salesperson, what that interaction will be. And I'm going to give you some do's and don'ts, and what to look for in terms of things that may not be in place, or in the right place, or out of place rather. So that being said, we talked about organizing, planning, canvassing, prospecting, getting ready, and having a nice little plan, nice little strategy out there, and where to go and try to find potential prospective customers and members, or whatever your business is, and clients. However, now you got that. I mean, you're excellent. You were able to generate your leads. You have a lead. Now you have an appointment, whatever that is, whether you're going to see a CEO or that you're going to see an actual customer, whether depends what your sales again that you're pushing for. But as you do that, you need now to the next step. How would you go about it? What would your behavior be when you're in front of your customers? And I'm going to give a little bit of something I look for when I do interviews, and I would say about a good 80% fail this test when I do it. And it's funny because it's a simple test. And so when somebody is a candidate for any positions that I actually hire for or have hired for, I just do a real role play with them. And in the role plays, I ask them whatever they do in current life before they join us, if they're working somewhere else and they're in the sales, whether they come from a different type of sales or insurance sales, another plan, whatever the case may be. And I gauge what that particular context is, and then I give them a role play scenario for them to interact with me. And ultimately the scenario is them and I working together and not really telling me what they're going to do, but really getting into the act and really act it up. And enact the whole, step by step when I give them, that particular scenario. Now, what they usually do is I give them a question, or at least the scenario says, okay, we are out here, or you got yourself into my office. You finally got the appointment. Now you're here. Great. Now, let's get through it. How would you go about it and talk to me and convince me that you're actually the right person, or actually for me to sell whatever, or buy whatever you're actually selling? And, so a lot of people immediately, and I'll give you examples of things that I've done. I mean, everybody knows the old story about the pen, and believe me, I've been using that for over 20 plus years, and I give people pens, but that's only, I used to do that in the beginning of days, when it was a hype about pens. But I literally try to see what they actually do for a living, or they have been doing, that they're comfortable in. Even if they're in a competitive, for example, health plan, I would ask them to present me those products. But I'm not looking about the presentation, in a whole. I'm just trying to see how they're going to approach me, and what kind of relationship they're going to build with me. Now, remember, today's topic is really building rapport and credibility and breaking the ice with your customers. And I'm going to give this particular example, and then I'm going to give example with different types of sales that I've done, and they all kind of touch in the same aspect, and they all have similarities in how you really interact. So if you're a professional salesperson, I'm going to give you the good, and the bad and the ugly, and the do's and the don'ts, and how to potentially, if you're doing something wrong, maybe you can do it. Now, I'm not stating that I'm the best at, at sales, but I can tell you I've done enough sales that, there are certain ways you do this, and you can do it properly, and you get better success. Even when I talked the other day on prospecting and finding customers, we talked about the example of real estate. You want to be the first one to get those classified. You want to be the first one to actually get in front of this customer. Well, great. You can be in front of a customer, but if the first impression, the first contact is everything. You can really lose the whole experience right at that first interaction. So again, You can never make a second, impression. The perception and the first, impression is key. So if you miss that window, it's over. And, they might just entertain you for a minute, but that's it. And same thing if you go. And even with interviewing, that's almost similar. When you go into a job interview, there are a lot of trainings on how to do this and how to approach it, how to interview and stuff. But if you actually do it wrong and make the wrong statement or the right approach, or the wrong approach rather, you might fall into the trap, and then basically the impression is wrong. People are not really pleased. You might be the best thing, but if you didn't convey that to them and they didn't see the energy, the enthusiasm, whatever they're looking for, you should prepare yourself for it, as we said. But once you're in it, you have to sell it, right? And I've had that actually in interviews to me when they say, "Oh, you're selling yourself." Yes, I am. In an interview, you are obviously selling yourself, but it's not about selling yourself. It's about really highlighting who you are and presenting that and matching it to what they're looking for. And you should, have the ability to do that, for your interviews if you're going for a career path and you're applying for a job that is yours. Again, while I was talking about recruiting and stuff, it is a form of sales too. As I said, there are sales transactions and everything. So going back to now, you got yourself, and I'm gonna give different, examples on how to build this, this report and building the credibility and stuff. You are a brand, and that's really what it is. Now, the fact, again, I had said that this in one of the sessions and the topics and the series is this whole, opportunity that I created, which is this iHealth channel, iHealth Radio. It's something dear to me. I wanted to do it for a long time, and finally I was able to do it. But the idea is I'm also building just a brand, and everyone has his own brand. If you're out there, you have your own brand. Doesn't matter what you do. It's your personality, your name, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you look. That's your brand, and you should take pride in it. And and it doesn't have to be any particular conforming to any particular rules. Good example, a lot of business rules that we've, been accustomed to over the years or over the past, decades have been shifting a little bit with the millennials, with like the Silicon Valley, like in the Googles and all these other companies. They've changed the dynamics of business and etiquette in our work, the dress code and everything. And again, brands, different angles. It doesn't have to be exactly how it used to be for 100 years. Everybody can generate a new view, a new profile, a new look, a new feel. And even in the entertainment industry, we've had Michael Jackson, we have Prince, we had Madonna, we have Lady Gaga. They have their own style, and their style is what made them who they are today. And they're Jennifer Lopez, and we can name many. Even players in sports. They have roles, they jump, whatever they do. They have their dances. All those are brand names. Those are brands that they create for themselves, and it's a signature. So when you see them, you know their move, their phrase. So stuff like that. Sometimes we quote, some stars. Sometimes we quote some, good coaches and things like that. Vince Lombardi. There are some quotes that he had, and everybody kind of follows through, and because he was the best at what he did. Well, same concept. So any one of us has the opportunity to create their own brand. And your brand is you, and you don't have to feel like, shy about it. No, actually, the more you cultivate your own brand and your own, persona, your own look, the more success you'll have. Now, some people may like it, some people may not like it. Of course, you got to keep it professional. You have to keep it clean, stuff. But at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you. And I said, and when we did the quote, series, and we talked about success, no one is going to determine your success by you. There are factors, there are elements that all contribute, but it's your, push. It's your input that does that. And that starts with your personality. So not to go around, it might sound like I'm going back and forth, but not really. I'm just kind of touching some elements and then building into the credibility. So building and breaking the ice and building credibility and building a good rapport with your clients is either going to make it or break it for you. If you lose that, there's no sale. You can pitch all you want. At the end of the day, it's over. You're going to walk out and be like, what the hell just happened? Well, something went wrong. They didn't like you, all right? Or they didn't feel comfortable with you. And credibility is important because, people need to know who you are. There's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of crazy. I was just reading today, there was an article And with all the coronavirus and everything that's going on, all the hype out there, there are people that are taking advantage, not so much in price gouging and all that stuff, but it's more about the actual scams, with people claiming that they have medicines that cure and they do stuff, and people take advantage of these things. So people are always very worried, very concerned. Even when you get into their home, I mean, you have to make them feel comfortable. You have to be careful. Now, of course, safety is first for all, for them and for you, and people are always going to look for that. So again, you have to always show that, you're not really a threat when you go somewhere, right? So if you're working, depending on your customers, if it's individuals, if it's seniors, you want to be able to be, portraying a certain look. If you go into a corporate office, you have a certain look. If you go into a particular, job interview, you have to have a certain look. If you're going to a gym fitness for a trainer role, you might want to look, your best, in a nice fitted, outfit, nice, jogging suit, whatever, gym suit, things like that, to look the part. If you are, again, dress code, sometimes is important in terms of the look and the motion, how you do it. My nickname when I was a kid was chameleon. And literally, I will change for every aspect. I change according and adapt to every situation. So, and even I do it until today, some people may probably laugh about this one, but if it is gloomy outside, I tend to dress in darker colors. If it's bright, it's brighter colors, and I really go with the tones and with the motion. So that's just me, but really, people have to really fit correctly to where they're going. So you go in an interview for a salesperson that is going to present to seniors and things like that. And I had mentioned this in the first session in the sales world. The idea of dress code is important to, for example, a senior, because back in the days, salespeople had a certain look. They dressed in a suit. They had a nice shiny, shoes. They had a nice tie. They had a nice little briefcase. They were prepared. They had their books. They had their presentation portfolio and all that stuff. So that was one piece. So again, having the right tools. It's all about the gear. So have the gear, have the look, and make sure that you actually portray and present and project a nice little feature about yourself, a nice little personality, a nice look. And when you also talk to them, the tone has to be nice, appropriate. You have to also be sensitive. And also, depending on what culture you might be interacting with, that is important to actually also, focus on that part, because each culture may have, certain taboos and no-nos. So again, if you're going to meet with a client and you have a lead, and let's say you speak multiple languages and you are going to meet, you need to also know that what would be appropriate versus not appropriate. If it's a particular season of the year where they might be observing a certain, holiday, you want to be careful about that and how to project and how to work with them. Maybe not even showing that. Again, there's different things that you have to consider. So sensitivity, cultural sensitivity, all these things have to be in play. And then this is all the pre, so when you're preparing yourself, you're organizing and, part of all your planning before you even show up. But now you have the access, you're in front of your actual audience. Now what? That's what next. That's what today's topic will be exactly about. Now, we have an hour and, we will cover most of this in depth. But again, these are just elements that we'd like to actually, bring to your attention. So at least, when you're, probably out there and, either pitching or interviewing or meeting with a customer or client, make sure you remember these things if you watch this particular program. Now, you are in front of your customers. As I said, when people come to me for the interview, and I am basically their client at that point, and I'm looking at them to see how they're going to treat their clients and so on and so forth. So we role play, and then I said 80% fail it because most of them they go straight to the kill. Now, what I mean straight to the kill, they just start pitching me. If I tell them, sell me this pen. Oh, this is a great pen. It's a blue. It writes. It got a Okay, great. Nothing about themselves, nothing about building any relationship between us. They just go right into it. Wrong. I've seen this also in the field when people straight up go and start selling. Oh, we got this benefit, this benefit, this benefit. There's no, introduction. There's no, there's no structure. There's nothing. They just go right to it, and ultimately they fail it. Bad. When I used to sell real estate and also when I sold timeshare, one of the experiences I had and good trainings I had was in the timeshare. And in timeshare, basically, if anyone has been to a presentation, and if you're actually in the timeshare world, you probably, would love this. people get invited to these presentations, to get a free couple of days here, a couple of days to experience, the actual resort, whatever the case may be. But when you walk into the resort, they give you a breakfast, whatever, and you are getting your coffee and drinks and little donuts, the sales guys will probably be hovering and introducing themselves and things like that, but also gauging who is the decision makers, things like that. You never go to those presentations without having all the decision makers together. They will not book you unless the two folks that will be making the decisions are together. And once you do that, there's a way to sit you up. They sit you up in a way that you're not facing the other public if there's other presentations going on, because again, if you do, you'll be distracted, and the body language from the other guys will probably interfere with your decision making, because if you see someone excited, that may excite you, and everything is contagious, like laughter, right? You laugh, everybody starts laughing, right? You sad, everybody's like, what the hell's going on? Everybody's gloomy. So same concept if you're in front of people and you see them, so they prevent you from actually being exposed to that, so they kind of corner you or make you face them and nothing else. So maybe facing the wall, and they'll start talking to the person that they feel that deem is the actual decision maker. Those are tactics, and these are strategies. These are really, these are arts and sciences to the actual way. And then they survey you. Right? First, they actually just chat with you for a minute and things like that. Then they survey you. And then they ask. And we're going to talk about surveys later on when we talk about probing and, asking the questions and things like that. But the first thing that you do is build rapport. So if there is no connection, done. It's like dating. It's like everything else. If there is no, nice chemistry that's happening up front, it's killed before you start going anywhere. And even if they go through motions, the results will be probably walking out with no business, right? So, and that's also for, your, corporate businesses, if you're doing business to business, whatever the case may be. If you're selling something, a service or product to somebody, that impression, that building rapport, credibility, the pitch about you, the brand recognition that is you, that's key. And how do you do this? So again, people make the move right from, hi, how you doing? My name is so-and-so, into the product straight up. No. So let me state, how the best way to do this, if you really want to do this right. You want to have friendship with them, believe it or not. You want to be, in a relationship with them before you start doing the business, because your relationship ultimately that you're building will happen later on, and it will stay on beyond the close, beyond the actual sale, because you want to have them as your customers for life, not just for that sale, right? So you want to build a nice, take time, 20 minutes, 15 minutes minimum, to build that, get to know them. And how you do that is not very difficult. Everybody, when you go to their businesses and stuff, you see a picture, they have a portrait, they have a nice little background picture somewhere, they have an item, an article from an articraft, something that they bought from somebody else, from some other country. There's a picture about Paris, there's a picture about Australia, whatever the case may be. There's Mountain Everest. You see something. Now, if you can talk to anything that they have, there's a nice car outside in the driveway, whatever, nice watch, nice tie, nice. Start breaking the ice, start talking about things, get personal a little bit, get a little bit, about even the weather. It's a very, standard one, but talk, wow, the day today is crazy. Coronavirus is crazy. Now, we're not doing any contact, we're doing social distancing here, but if we had the opportunity to do this without the corona, we're talking about events that are happening, what's going on, how you feel, and, strike in sales, right? We talk. So talk a little bit other than the actual product. Don't go straight for the kill. Don't go straight to close. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. It will not happen. Take the time. Get to know them. Get them to know you, who you are, what you are. Even when you do a mass presentation, you want to talk about you, who you are, what is your status, what is your title, what's your name, how long you've been possibly working in the company. So people need to know, like, are you just a new guy, a newbie, or are you someone that knows their stuff? And so ultimately, you build that. When I started this and I put my website and everything, I had to give a little bit of experience, what I've been doing. Even when I first introduced the show as an introduction to why I created this platform, I introduced why. I've been doing this for over 25, 26 years, now. And, I've seen a lot of stuff in the sales and the healthcare, fields combined, industries type. And, while I did that, I noticed that there's some need out there for education. But people need to know that I actually know some of the stuff and not just listen to me or watch me because I'm, I happen to be on in front of a camera. No. So it's the same concept. You want to create a little bit of a momentum, a little bit of a relationship, a little bit of a connection. That connection is going to establish things. And the other thing is, remember, if they're shopping, they will probably have other candidates, other salespeople in front of them. You want to be the one that leaves the most and best impression at all. Period and out. There's no failure here. There's not an option. Okay? You're walking in, and I say this, when you go to an interview, when you go to sell, I always say this. If I'm in your home, and I'm very confident I'm not going to sell you anything that is not yours. I will walk with a sale. And my sales rate, my close ratio was actually, 75 to 100% when I used to sell direct, okay? And I would still do that if I go, because I'm not going to sell you anything that you don't need. I will sell you what's just. So when I do my probing, before even pre-qualifying, I will know that you're qualified. Before I make that appointment, I already know that you need this, and you're already interested, and you already kind of have a connection. So all I have to do now is become your, resource, become your savior, and help you through the process, whatever that you need to buy. So, and I'm confident saying this like here, live, and it's going to be all over the net, but it is fact. So if you don't believe in that you can do it, then it's probably not the right thing for you to do. And when you're there, it's that breaking the ice. Like I said, you break the ice with a lot of ways. Even in the street, if you're doing marketing or street marketing, as we covered in the legislate and regulate series, and we talk about field marketing in the Medicare space, you're interacting with people in the street. You have to make a statement of purpose while you're there. We're in the community helping people. Do you know anyone? Blah blah blah, and you get to know. Well, can I help you with this? Many ways you can break the ice. Oh, I love your shirt. I love your, stuff. Oh, let me help you. Let me carry this for you. There are ways you can do it correctly and helping. I mean, I'm talking about the senior market. It's always great to help a senior, and we're supposed to do as humans, as individuals, because we all have seniors in our lives, and we probably, if we live long enough, we'll be in that stage. So we'll expect that for other people to do it for us. But the fact of the matter is, if you are actually talking to an individual, break the ice, give it a little bit of a connection, build that nice little, momentum with them. Let them get excited about who you are, and also build the credibility, because they're probably not sure about your product, your company, what's your angle. There is no angle. You already established that you've been there. So the idea is you want to talk about things. You want to spend as much time with them. First of all, just by default, if you spend 25 minutes talking, in general before you even get to the stuff, and somebody else comes in after that, would they spend another 25 minutes? You were the first one. You did all that. They're already kind of exhausted. They might not even entertain another person. But that's not the way. That's not the reason you would do it. You do it just because it's the right thing to do. It's building. First of all, by actually having that conversation, it will help you later on. Simply because the more you are talking, the more stuff you're going to know a little bit about their style, their personality, things like that. So that will help you as you actually propose questions later on, as you start handling objections, as you start doing, and we'll talk about all those techniques and things like that at a later, session. But when you do that, it's actually it's an investment. It's not wasting time. It's not about a flight-by type of presentation. You walk in, you walk out. No. As I said, in the Medicare space, you need at least 45 minutes to an hour just to do a good, not excellent, just good. Now, the more you spend time, it's good. And you're in front of a client, forget everybody else. You don't need another client. You need that client. Close that deal, move to the next. But you can't be in front of them. And also, customers and consumers, if you're watching this program, this is something good for you. The more you get to know your, sales, rep agent, your representative that's actually in front of you, get to know them. Because that's going to say a lot of things about the company themselves. Are they going to service you later on or not? So it's important that you actually get to see the whole picture. It's important. And so it's really a good balance, here. So I'm trying to send pointers to both sides. But at the end of the day, it's a win-win. You invite people into your home because you have a service need. They're here to help you get that service, but you need to know them. You need to get credibility. You need to know about the company. So a good salesperson will also give a little bit of nice presentation about their company. And a lot of people have structured presentations that go through that, but you can read or you can present. It's a different story. I can read. I have actually presentations. You can see me. I'm talking to the camera. I'm not looking at my stuff because I don't need to look at this. I already know this stuff. I can read it to you verbatim. I can grab a paper and start just reading, and it's news. Now, I want this to be interactive, and that's exactly what you do in a real sales scenario. In front of customer, talk to them. Forget that you're selling. You actually present. Remember what I had said. We don't sell ever if we're actually doing a good, job, because all you're doing is presenting, highlighting, showcasing things, showing them what the benefit for them is, what's in it for them. And and to do that, you don't need to pitch it. You just need to actually work with them and elevate that to a level where they're comfortable and they see the value. They see the value, they will be interested. No value, it's gone. But credibility will kill everything before anything else. So you break the ice, you get comfortable with them, you're talking to them, they're happy. A good example, when I used to do the real estate and we used to do sales trainings, one of the main things I used to focus on is if you're going to get a listing or an exclusive, exclusive right to sell listing, which is the best format actually if you're in the real estate world and watching this. That's obviously your top priority to get from somebody that's selling a house, especially someone that has a for sale by owner status, and they you're gonna help them. So you want to pitch them all why you versus the others, and what services you're gonna give them, blah blah blah, and that's all good. But the idea when you walk in there, you want to be excited with them. You want to have a conversation. We talk, and one warning. Don't talk about something that you don't know. They'll read right through it. Don't actually comment on something that they know it's broken. Oh, that's a great, vase, but the vase is cracked, or like, a chip. Maybe you gotta choose your appropriate, way of, giving nice little comments and giving nice little feedback. But don't give kudos to something that's not plausible for it. Make sure that you do it right. You can't say something, well, that's cute, and they know it's not. That's that's nice, but they know it's not, because that's like, really you mean that? And then already you're done, because you just showed them that you're fake. You don't want to be fake. You want to be as genuine as possible and who you are. And if you're a good salesperson, you're always going to be that way. And if you're learning to be a salesperson, don't learn the tricks where you're like really salesy. You don't have to be salesy to be a good salesperson. As a matter of fact, you don't even need to be salesy. You need to understand sales. You need to be, to understand the rules of sales, what works, what doesn't, how to do this. There are rules and procedures, policies, and if you want to call them that way, there's techniques, right? But you don't have to be salesy to go through that stuff. You need to be knowledgeable about it. You need to be able to break it down to a science for these folks and show them, highlight the interest. And we'll talk about those as we break down, the presentations further in later on shows. So again, as we're building the credibility, you want to talk to them. You want to show, who you are, what you've been doing, how long you've been doing, how many people you've potentially helped. And if you do this also with the business, the business need to know why, stuff, especially if you're meeting somebody that is at a higher authority in that particular business. Their time is limited. Obviously, they don't want to spend 10 hours talking to you, but if there is a good momentum and they see the energy, well, now they're willing to listen. And that's exactly what you want. First, you want to get in. When you get a lead, the next thing from a lead, you want to get into the house. You want to get in front of the decision maker. We talked about gatekeepers that block you. So once you get past that and you get into the decision maker, now what? This is now what? You meet with them, you break the ice, you build credibility, you get excited, you get them excited. Now you're actually in the mix. Now you're in the process. You're at least in the game. Otherwise, you're out of the game. You're not even in the game. So that's very key. So building credibility, building rapport. Now they're happy. And that rapport means it's like, they need to know who you are. Are you going to follow through with them? Are you going to be, hiding stuff? And many people give they shortchange people in presentations and cut corners because they feel that if I stated this, it will hurt my odds in closing. No, actually, you do not hide stuff because it will come up. They will know. And all they're going to do is basically cancel, complain, and sue and do whatever they need to do to actually get out of your product and services. Now, good. No reason for you to do that. The best way I've trained salespeople and I train my teams is to actually present everything. Show them, by the way, if we went this way, this may not work out, but here's how we do it. Give them, there is something that's not 100%. If there is some other product that now depending on the industries, we might not be able to compare to others. In our business, world, in the health plans, in the Medicare world space, we cannot compare to other competitor plans or competitive plans. So we cannot talk about the other plan has this, I can give you this. No. But Same, if it's another type of sales and you talk like, oh, this company, this car company gives you this, we don't. There's not about bashing the other guys. But if I can tell you, like, you might find another, car, another product that is probably better. We might not be the best, but I can tell you how it would be the best for you. Now, I can give you the value, I can give you the actual product, I can give you the pricing, I can give you everything, and the aftermath, the customer service that you need. I cannot promise you that others will do. I can only speak about what I can do. And that shows value. That shows, like, you're, again, honest. Honesty is key in business. If you're not honest, people will read through you. Now, people can be, BS artists, and they can, and that's the unfortunate, case in sales. There are some elements that create that perception in the world, and, like, all of us suffer because of those few guys. But we're not, the majority of us, I still believe that the majority of salespeople out there are better, and they're good people, and they really are out there to help people get the best thing for them at that point in whatever they're looking for. And so, again, building that report, building that credibility, building that pitch about you, about your company. That's the other thing. The people buy you. And the reason I said you specifically as a salesperson, and if you're watching the consumer, that agent in front of you, that sales guy or lady in front of you, they're actually going to be your customer service reps up front. They're the first line of defense, and customer service really starts with them. Not after you become a member and they just hand you over to a process. No. They have to be with you at all times. And if you don't feel that, there is a problem in that initial contact. So I'll give you good examples. I had mentioned in a different session, me and my friend, used to team up when we talked about working in the field, and we had an excellent, drive. Well, let me tell you something. That particular relationship, is beyond. And I'll give you a good example. We used to go out, every year and meet some of our customers. And at the time, we had business cards with magnet cards. So you have a magnet, fridge magnet, and it has your face, has your name and your number. Some of these folks had these things years after the fact. After we became in the management roles and stuff, you go back with shadowing some additional new agents, and you go to a home visit or follow-up, or somebody that's re-enrolling, and you have a card there, and that's the thing. You build that. People will actually have to build trust with you. They don't want to talk to somebody else. And if you want to sign that brand of yours, that's what you need to establish, is that when you walk out of that home, they will never call anybody else but you. If they need your industry, they need your service, they're going to call you. And I'll tell you this for a fact. For me personally, the people that I've helped, even to date, when they want something in healthcare or at least insurance, they call me. Some of the people that know me in the real estate, they would call me, And that's what you build over the years. So people call you direct, so you give them the assistance that they need. And they know they can trust you because you never played them. You never shortcut them in the past. You were always there for them. You were honest with them. You were genuine. You delivered the goods. And, you went beyond the call of duty and you helped more. And I can tell you this for a fact. The majority of the best cases of the best sales reps that I've had in all my teams and the people that I've seen successful, not just in my industry, in all the industries, are the people that go beyond the call of duty, they do more. And they're more driven by customer experience and customer service. Now, I had mentioned also for me personally, one of the best experiences I've had that actually helped me and catapulted me, I guess, in this particular, brain frame or mainframe of customer service world is Walt Disney. I had, made a joke about, my first job was at Disney, and I also talked about how was my dream when I was a kid. But really, my experience in Disney, this is not endorsing Disney, but I love the place, and I do owe them, the ability to be here in the States and the ability to be, in front of you today. But also, a lot of things, a lot of my initial trainings, and they run a very tight shop and good business, classes, and actually their model is, their courses actually are, available to all companies today, and you can literally sign up for these courses. Now, this is not a commercial for Disney. I'm not getting paid by them, but the fact of the matter, that is fact. And for me personally, that helped me a lot because when we all know about that business magic, the Disney magic, and when you go actually to Disney, you're like, wow, it's an experience, right? Well, guess what? They installed that in you. So I'll give you a good example. When I was there, I was called a cast member. And so basically you're on stage or backstage. So once you open the door from the wardrobe and you get in front of the customers, that's your stage. You're basically on set. and now you're acting. You're actually a stage character. You're just like the Mickey Mouse and the Minnie Mouse. You're just another case in there, and you have to present a certain way. So you can have a fight literally in the back, and as soon as you walk in there, smile. Doesn't matter how bad you had today, smile. Doesn't matter how bad you're feeling, how you're down. It's a smile. And actually, when you do that, you will turn your day better. It becomes positive energy, and it creates a lot more experience, a lot more vibe with other people. People enjoy you more, and your day will go faster, and you'll have a better life after that. But some of these things that I've learned then, that's actually, we're talking about 28 years ago, they're still with me. And I've taught a lot of that stuff myself to other people. And really, even when I talk to people in my trainings, if you go to a customer, doesn't matter what you feel, all your biases, your prejudices, whatever you have inside, whatever your family you're going through, your finances, doesn't matter. You're there to do a job to help these people. So you leave all that stuff, and you know what? Put that stuff in a box. Before you walk out from the car or wherever your transportation, means of transportation is, once you're in, that's gone. You don't see that. What you see is a customer in need that you are here to deliver, a service, and you're going to become the best thing that happened to them that day. That's it. Now, the joke is, we used always the expression of since sliced bread. There's other things that happened, that were there before sliced bread. So whatever that formula may be. But the fact is, you want to be the best thing that happened to them that day, or maybe even in their life, because whatever decision they're going to make. Now, I'm not talking about if you sell them a toaster, but if you're impacting their health, if you're impacting their lifestyle, whatever you're doing at that point, if you're actually working with some sort of a corporation and a president or somebody at a higher level in that particular, a senior officer of that company, a senior leadership, you want to help that company succeed and go to the next level, right? So you want them to go to, from this level to this level to this level. And your platform, if you're serving them with a platform, whether it's tech or whatever you have, or logistics, or some other service that you're presenting to them, you want them that they will actually really pride themselves in having that deal with you. And ultimately, you were the one that rescued them and got them, to the next level and the next level. And that's something that's going to go with you forever. Important. And again, even as an employee, same thing. You are still selling. The more you do for a company, the more you can deliver for them. It's going to help. Now, it may not work all the time. You might have clashes. You might not see eye to eye with some of the companies. But that's not the issue. The issue is really you are always presenting the best of what you can do and work with it. So eventually, hopefully, you leave a good mark for these folks. And that's really, what's going to get you to the success and hopefully close better, in your, business. And so again, if you are in the sales, space, it doesn't matter what you sell, doesn't matter what business, what industry, this does not vary. It'll vary. It's the same for across the board. It might have to tweak here and there. But the fact of the matter is, you need to build a good relationship with your customers and clients. You need to be honest. Integrity is great, ethics are great, and compliance is great. But also your behavior, your relationship, how you build that connection with them goes a long way. I've actually had relationships with customers that today we are family, not just, customers. We became that kind of stuff. I used to go and get invited, long time after, I helped these, some of my clients, and became, a family friend. I mean, they call you, you call people. And that's the other thing. It's not just that time. And we'll talk more about this beyond the close and, what happens after you close, a business deal. And it's really that you build a long-term relationship. It's not a fly-by-night. It's not a drive-by deal. It's not like, oops, one shot out. You actually take this for the longer, term. No short-term deals, all right? And again, that's if you want to succeed. Now, here's what happens if you don't. You got to do something, it's quick. And I've seen this happen. People do, short sales, and they do all kind of crazy stuff. And even we talked about compliance in the last chapter. If you do wrong, by people, it doesn't take long before you get hurt, because they will eventually catch up to you. They will complain to your supervisors, to your superiors, to the government if they have, a way in. They will go to the news, to the media. They can call the, some of these, shows that actually, shame on you type shows. They will go there. Okay, they have a report, and then ultimately you did something that is that is potentially a sale for that moment, but it's a destructive, step for your career, or at least in that particular job with that company that you might not last long. Don't do it. Again, do the right thing, know your stuff, learn your business, learn your processes, make sure you know everything that you need to know. But when you interact with people, you're in the business. If you're in sales, you're also in the business of customer service. Two things, they're not, it's not my job. It's not like when you say I'm a sales guy, I'm not, actually a customer service rep. You are the first customer service rep. Your experience, what you present, how you present it, how you do it is what's going to drive the rest. If not, you're done. It might run you a little bit, in time, and then you will just expire quickly, and then nobody will ever care about you. There is no credibility. You lose it. It's over. Same thing with companies. If a company, produces stuff and, fluff, and then they don't deliver, at the end of the day, no one's going to buy from them, and they'll die quickly. You want to actually, be there. A lot of companies build their whole marketing campaign on guarantees and warranties, right? We guarantee it. We guarantee it because they want to create that perception, and they have to deliver. Now, here's the thing. I say I guarantee it. I don't deliver on that promise. We got issues there too because now it's false advertising, and it goes bad. So whether it's a company or an individual within a company that's representative of the company, it's the same thing. The outcome will be the same, and it could be destructive. On the flip side, if you do it right, it will be great. Now, for consumers, the advice is, seek the advice, seek that credibility, seek the opportunity to know these people. And, if they're really short and, they're not really delivering, they're not really in there with you, they're not really building the report, it could be a reason for you not to actually entertain, that particular product or service because you don't know if they're going to really come through for you. And that's key. So again, as a consumer, buyer beware, or caveat emptor, as I called it in a different session, in the experience that I had with my mom in the surgery. You always have to do the right thing by you and the due diligence. And we as salespeople, as sales professionals, we got to do the right thing by you as a consumer because you are it. You are, without you, we don't exist. And that's the other thing that people don't get. If you don't do good by your customers, you don't have business. And if you don't have business, you don't have income. You don't have income, you'll probably lose your house, lose your valuables, and have, you lose your career and things go bad for you. So no company exists without customers and consumers and clients and, patients, members. And guess what? If we want those customers and more of them, we have to deliver. A lot of companies, when they start, they are the greatest companies. And then as they get too big, sometimes they get too big for themselves and they lose focus on that is. And that's actually a big no-no. So even for leaders out there and for executives, customer service is key, and it's a lot of work. Yes, it is, and I've worked with customer service. I've actually, worked closely with customer service and senior in leadership in those departments. And you know what? We work together because sales, customer service is one, really. Even in customer service, they're selling, the service itself beyond, the actual initial, enrollment phase. So at the end of the day, it's all the same. They have to know your stuff. They need to know also the business on the customer service side, and it's basically a relay type. So, the salesperson delivers, turns the baton to the next, unit, and the next unit do it. And our care, world in healthcare and insurance, that goes to customer service, goes to care managers, and then it goes to the process. But you as a salesperson, you never stop there. Your customers, your clients are yours for the life that they have within the plan. You don't stop. You continue. You're always there for them. You don't stop. That's a key thing. So it's important that you follow through, with your customers every time. You talk to them correctly. Spend as much time as you need with them. Learn about themselves. Learn about their needs. And we'll talk about when probing and stuff. I might just touch a little bit. I don't want to go into deep dive there because we have a session for that. But, get to know them. Just like they get to know you, get to know them. Like I said earlier, it helps. When I mentioned the example of timeshare, and you start doing some surveys and getting to gauge who is the decision. Even when you go to somebody's home and you're at the kitchen table, maybe there's a couple of them there. There's the spouses are, either one of them makes the decision in the house. So you might want to be, able to engage both. And that's the other thing. Do not undermine one versus the other because you can talk to the wrong person and then the decision maker is the one you just pissed off right now. And then guess what? It's done. because that person is not going to give you anything. So when you talk, you have to balance it out, and it's not like, driven to one way. I did say that some techniques are geared to like who is the decision maker, but that doesn't mean that you actually ignore completely the other person, and they have no say in the matter. The reason you get two people in the room is you want to do it. In the Medicare sales, we do that all the time, and again, for our agents out there, that are selling any type of insurance, or any salesperson in general, always seek who else is there, that we need to have in front of us to make the decision, when you're buying the stuff. So I don't care if you're selling windows, doors, whatever the service is, you want to have the two people in front of you, so the decision making is happening there, and you are actually helping, create that opportunity for both people, so the decision, is being formed in front of you, and it's sound, and it's not skipping beats. There is no, disconnect. Both of them are seeing, hearing the same pitch. And if there's one that is going to have an objection, you want to hear it there. And we'll handle this topic again when we talk about handling objections and all that other stuff that goes and nuances that go into, and that's the biggest piece of a sales transaction, literally, when you're in there, because if you miss those, again. But again, every step, if you don't prospect and canvas, you're not going to do anything. If you're not organized and you plan, you're not going to be able to succeed. If you're in front of clients, you're not doing a good job building the rapport and the credibility and things like that in your brand, it's not going to succeed. Once you start surveying, if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to succeed. And every step of it is just as important to get you to the end and then beyond. So again, in the interest of time, I think we're coming to, we're getting close to our hour. But to recap, like I said, in sales, we got to do a lot of stuff, and it's not a simple thing. It's not a, just, I'm going to go out there and do this and pitch. There's, like I said earlier, art, science. The art is your style, your personality. It's how you approach it. Your science is exactly the steps: organize, plan, canvas, prospect, build credibility, report, survey, open-ended questions, close, trials, handle objections. Those are the sciences, or the steps, the mathematical steps, the methodology. But your style is key. Your personality is key. Your enthusiasm is key. Your honesty is key. So all these things, any one of those, it's like, you're building a house, or building, as I mentioned before, that's your foundation. And as you build on it, and everything tacks on the other, and you do it right, you got a solid structure. It's not going anywhere. And you also, as you're building this credibility and you're working with these folks, it will help you gauge your presentation correctly and tweak it to make sure that you can do the right thing by them and understand what their needs are, so you can also articulate correctly, if there is an, almost plan for any objections they might have. So it's really, it's psychology also. I mean, sales is also psychology. It's like entertaining, those in front of you and understanding them, trying to read through them. But again, you have to be transparent. You have to be lucid. You cannot be like, hiding stuff. You cannot have a bad, or a dark agenda. This is not about, I'm going to just, again, get a sale, move out. No. You get a sale, you move out, you lose the sale, and nothing happens. So what's the point? And in the Medicare space, or at least as I had said when we did the broker world and we talked about the licensing and commissions, you get a commission if that person disenrolls within 90 days anyways. By CMS rules, you don't get paid on them. So is it worth it? No. Don't go for that. What you go for is you want that person to be retained, happy for life. As long as they live, they're in that plan, you want them to be with you. And you are the person that's going to handle them. You don't want anybody else. If they meet someone that like you in the street, you say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk to you. I have my agent. I got someone I can trust. But that trust is built when you are in front of them up front. When you build in that first report, you're introducing yourself, you're building the credibility, you're making it right for them up front, it will get you where you need to be. So again, that's the topic of today. I mean, certainly we can go into the other topics and break down the other side. We have a few minutes, but I just want to wrap the few minutes that left, and again just give some pointers. Again, this time with coronavirus and people are staying home, and everybody is kind of just very tight, and there's a lot of anxiety and things like that. There's a lot of uncertainty. Nobody knows how this is going to play in the next couple of weeks. Kids are at home, a lot of stuff. But, again, hygiene, obviously, we have to be careful. the social distancing. I mean, today I was, outside. I went to grab a couple of things at Costco. Things are getting, they only get some 50 people in the actual, space. You have to wait. There is a distance between people. They have different, lanes open, and basically they skip one lane, so the distance between all the customers. They don't have any food in there. You can only take off. So everybody's kind of heeding and listening to the actual guidances and things like that. So if you're staying home, do it. But some advice, just health advice, and we'll talk about, in the fit, in the fabulous sessions, and, other type and beautify and things like that, session and series. Eating habits, exercise, vitamins, build your immune. Again, one of the things I posted today in LinkedIn is about, Facebook, for example, has this rule about copyrights music. If somebody plays music, you may not be able to, they mute you or they just stop your broadcast. Unfortunately, now that people are home, they might want to do some exercise and things like that. And if they play music and, and they may, post it, whatever, that could be an issue. This, so as I had said, we are broadcasting live sessions, which is basically a morning workout exercise, with a little bit of kickboxing, fitness kickboxing type. And, ultimately with music, and of course we play music, DJ music. So it's going to be crazy out there, and I did send the message again. If Facebook hears that, maybe a lot of people are making exceptions, a lot of industries are making exceptions, and maybe they can make exceptions. So people that are in gyms, they cannot go to gyms because that's prevented. I mean, that's a space where people get together and sweat and all that. So if they're staying home, they need the exercise. Otherwise, again, we'll get into obesity, we get into weight problems, we can get to like mood swings, and it can get ugly. We don't want that. We want people to be healthy and keep the exercise. So if you don't want to do it on live with anybody, you can work out. Take a few minutes every day, do your exercise home, jumping jacks, a little bit of push-ups, some sit-ups, things like that helps you. Watch your habits and eating. That's another thing, because I've noticed even in my kids, they're staying home now. They snack a little bit more than they usual. So again, watch those habits, please, if you're watching this. And this is not just for this season or for this particular environment and under the corona, quarantine, level. But even in general, if you're home and sitting and watching, healthy snacks, exercise, walk around. You could still walk around. You just cannot be around people. So try to do those things, and it's important. Again, we're going to talk about in a session about the some of the healthy habits and things to do to detoxify your body and things like now. While I'm not a health expert, in terms of wellness and things like that, I have been again in the health and fitness world for many years, in the martial arts, and I've learned over the years certain things. And even me personally, I had gained weight a long time ago and was able to lose it. And there's some things I've used. I'm going to share that with you as just an experience. And again, so healthy, habits, healthy eating, exercise is good for your body, for your immune system, for your mental state. All of that is good stuff. Just an advice from the iHealth channel. And again, our mission, educate, enlighten, inspire, and motivate. So this is desperate times, but you know what? We will prevail. We'll get through it. Everybody out there, stay strong, stay safe. It's a good time. I mean, learning, reading, do some stuff that is valuable to you. And let's try to hopefully get over this in no time. And that being said, I know we have a couple of minutes left on the show, but thank you very much. And you can watch this replay again on the www.the iHealth channel, or you can also listen to it as a replay in the radio. So you can download the actual radio app on the Apple store. It's iHealth Radio. So if you Google it up, not Google it, go to Apple Store, iHealth Radio. It's about maybe 6 or 7 down, after maybe 4th app after the iHeart Radio, and you can download this. So there's music, and then you can listen to the shows. So the way the shows are, as I am talking right now live, it is actually live on the radio, and then these will be posted as a playlist, and then the shows will be replaying, and then they get replaced, eventually in time. And so if you missed it, you can catch on to it, and hopefully it's educational. Your comments, please. If you have any suggestions at iHealthRadio.usa.com. If you want to go to YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. It's sad. I see that the subscriptions are not there. I'm not doing it for the money. So if you go in there, please subscribe. It's more about you getting more, feed, like to know when I am actually broadcasting, things like that. This will be also broadcasted on Periscope, on the if you have Roku TV or Amazon Fire TV, you can watch this. You just have to go in there and download the app, which is Boxcast TV, and then you look for iHealth channel, and you'll be able to see this on your TV live screen. So that's why you don't see my background right now. It's not a green screen right now. It's a regular live, space. I have both sets, so I can use either one, and we'll probably change that when we have some sponsors and maybe someone that wants to, share their brand with the public. But at the end of the day, please do so. Please follow, with these advice, these suggestions and advice. Again, check us out. There's some motivation stuff there. There's some advisories. I try to post things that are, relevant, to the community. And that being said, thank you very much, and we'll talk soon.